Breakfast is known as the most important meal of the day. A meal of that reputation should provide everything your body needs, right? But what does your body actually need? Well, who better to ask than the geniuses over at MIT? Let's see here. According to them, our bodies need a helping of oats and a healthy dose of radiation? That can't be right, but it is. This is the story of the dark breakfast MIT served us for breakfast in collaboration with Quaker Oats. In the 1950s, America was bouncing back from the trials of war, and folks were craving something new both in the kitchen and on the breakfast table. Now let's talk oats, specifically Quaker Oats. Back in those golden years, Quaker Oats was a heavyweight in the cereal game, serving up bowls of wholesome goodness to families across the nation. But in a world where breakfast was king, competition was fierce. Enter cream of wheat, Quaker Oats' arch rival in the battle for breakfast supremacy. But where did Quaker Oats stand in terms of market control? Well, let's just say they were sitting pretty at the top of the cereal pyramid. With their iconic logo and reputation for quality, Quaker Oats had a firm grip on the hearts and stomachs of cereal lovers everywhere. But like any great rivalry, cream of wheat was hot on their wheels, vying for a slice of the breakfast pie. In the post-war era, Americans were hungry for health and vitality. With the rise of suburbia and the advent of modern conveniences, families were eager to embrace the latest trends in nutrition. Enter Quaker Oats, ready to seize the opportunity to prove that their oats were more than just a tasty breakfast. They were a nutritional powerhouse. On one side, you had Quaker Oats, hearty, wholesome, and packed with the goodness of oats. On the other side, you had cream of wheat, smooth, silky, and oh so tempting. It was a clash of textures, a showdown of flavors, and a test of breakfast loyalties. But what fueled this epic rivalry, you ask? Well, it all came down to one thing: taste. Both Quaker Oats and cream of wheat were vying for the title of America's favorite breakfast cereal, and they were willing to go to great lengths to prove their superiority. Quaker Oats touted the nutritional benefits of oats, claiming that their cereal was not only delicious but also packed with essential vitamins and minerals. Meanwhile, cream of wheat countered with their silky smooth texture and comforting taste, appealing to those who preferred a gentler start to their day. And let's not forget about the taste tests. Oh, the taste tests! Quaker Oats and cream of wheat went head-to-head in a battle of flavor, with consumers lining up to sample their favorite cereals and cast their votes for the ultimate breakfast champion. During a time when valuing nutrition was at its peak, the brilliant minds at MIT were on a quest to unlock the secrets of iron and calcium absorption in the human body. So how did they go about it? Well, to start off, to understand how the human body works, you need human test subjects. So where do you turn to? To their neighbor, Fernald State School, a place where adventure meets science, or so it seemed on the surface. Fernald was home to intellectually disabled children, many of whom were orphans. During this time, Fernald was notorious for being abusive to their students and forcing them to do manual labor. MIT specifically targeted the members of the science club, selling the idea that they would get to learn and experience more advanced stages of scientific research firsthand. Now, on to the main event, the administration of radioactive isotopes. Picture this: bowls of oatmeal and milk, but with a twist that I'll soon reveal. It has been said that the kids who took part in the experiment never really knew what they were in for, that they only thought they were special compared to their peers. The boys who took part in the experiment never really found out the whole story about eating contaminated cereal for another 4 decades. During the late 1940s to early 1950s, Robert Harris, a professor of nutrition at MIT, led 3 different experiments that involved over 74 Fernald boys who were in the ages of 10 to 17. Wait, give this video a like before you bite into a loving spoonful. I heard it protects you from radiation. Now, you may be wondering, what did Quaker Oats, the oat-tastic breakfast staple loved by so many today, have to do with all of this? Well, back in those days, it was either you had a bowl of Quaker Oats or the rival cream of wheat for breakfast. Quaker Oats, being the competitive company they were, wanted to edge out cream of wheat once and for all. And how do you do that? Well, with the help of science, of course. Quaker Oats wanted to prove that their product was not only tasty but also super nutritious, and what better way to do that than through scientific research? Quaker Oats teamed up with the brainiacs over at MIT to conduct some experiments. Their mission? To show that Quaker Oats led the pack when it came to iron absorption, leaving cream of wheat in the dust. But hold on to your spoons, folks. Here's where it gets interesting. Some folks were saying that Quaker Oats actually hindered iron absorption, unlike its weedy rival cream of wheat. Talk about a breakfast showdown. So what did the MIT experiments reveal? Well, Quaker Oats supplied MIT with oats straight from the breakfast bowl to feed to their test subjects. That's right, the same oats you might enjoy with a dollop of honey in the morning were put to the test in the name of science. And the results? Drumroll please. Turns out Quaker Oats had nothing to fear. Quaker conducted 3 experiments feeding the boys at Fernald oats coated with radioactive iron tracers, milk with radioactive calcium tracers, and injections containing radioactive calcium. The first 2 experiments went in Quaker Oats' favor, revealing that their oatmeal was no worse than cream of wheat in terms of inhibiting absorption of iron and calcium into the bloodstream. The third experiment showed that calcium entering the bloodstream goes straight to the bones, which would prove important in later studies of osteoporosis. Thanks to those experiments, Quaker Oats became a household name synonymous with nutrition and quality. When people saw the iconic logo staring at them in the breakfast aisle, people knew they were getting a bowl full of goodness backed by science. But that is until everything they've done came to light. In 1993, a curious turn of events unfolded when Secretary of Energy Hazel O'Leary decided to unveil a stash of Atomic Energy Commission documents. This decision was partly inspired by Eileen Wellsom's riveting investigative reporting on radiation testing by the U.S. government and heightened concerns over the nuclear weapons industry. Then, like a plot twist in a suspenseful novel, the Boston Globe dropped a bombshell report. Suddenly, other publications were rallying victims to step into the spotlight. Fast forward to 1995, where a lawsuit shed light on the motivation behind these experiments. None other than Quaker's commercial interests. Why, you ask? Well, it seems to boil down to a cereal rivalry between oatmeal and cream of wheat, quipped prosecuting attorney Michael Machin to the Associated Press. Things took an even more dramatic turn when a Senate Committee on Labor and Human Resources convened in January 1994 to dig into the Fernald experiments, with Senator Edward Kennedy leading the charge. Questions flew faster than a pop quiz in a classroom. Isn't it mind-boggling that the most vulnerable members of our society, innocent youngsters, were the guinea pigs, he demanded? During the Senate hearing, David Litzter from MIT tried to put a few things in perspective. He revealed that the oatmeal experiment exposed the boys to about as much radiation as 30 chest x-rays in a row. As for the medical and biological repercussions of such low doses, it's a tough nut to crack, Litzter remarked. According to him, the odds of a child developing cancer from that exposure were about as likely as finding a needle in a haystack. But wait, there's more. In 1994, a Massachusetts state panel concluded that none of the students suffered any major health hiccups, and guess what? Radioactive tracers continue to be the shining stars in the medical world. However, the real heart of the matter wasn't just about potential health hazards. These boys, vulnerable and without parental guidance at the state school, found themselves unwitting stars in experiments they never signed up for. When the gavel fell in court, 30 former Fernald students stood up to MIT and Quaker Oats, and in 1995, President Clinton even offered a heartfelt apology to the Fernald students, acknowledging the Atomic Energy Commission's indirect hand in the cookie jar. A hefty settlement of $1.85 million was finally inked in January 1998. As the curtain closed on the Fernald Fernald saga, scientists did uncover some nuggets of wisdom, though they had nothing to do with breakfast. Thanks to an injection of radioactive calcium into 9 young lads, researchers unlocked the mysteries of calcium's journey through their body. Spoiler alert, it mostly heads straight for the bones and then exits stage left through urine. And that, my friends, is a wrap on the Fernald fiasco. Leave MIT's take on Quaker Oats a glowing review in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe to Food Fable if you love all things food. You won't regret it. And hey, thanks for watching.